Yeah, yeah. Gold dripping off the ropes, family tree colossal, bloodline royal, built on that gospel. Legacy deep, no shallow pool splashing. Dynasty rise all day. We are back after 1 year. Guys, it's been a minute, Leslie. Look at us, 1 year.
Yes, yes. I am so excited, y'all. We are so just happy to be back and to be able to give you something that you can take with you in your car. You could listen to like, while you just chilling, get you some wrestling knowledge, have some laughs, and reminisce. And I've got a special, special person to do that with today. We have got y'all, she's coming up on here soon, a year with us. We've got a new team member, a new family member that's become family, that's become our sister, our podcast sister, and our friend. And we love her so much. And we know you all will too. But this is her first episode with us that you are listening to. And I am so proud of just to see how we just come together and all that. So let me introduce her. Please welcome to the ATD podcast, to ATD World. I want to give you a little faith. We have Miss Faith with us, and she's going to present this episode, and we are going to rock it, and we're so excited. Faith.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So, of course, as you guys know, we did Roman episode 3, and I gotta say this right now. It was, okay, we gonna be real. It was not great, okay? It was not good. We were not feeling it. And of course, as you know, if we not feeling it, we gonna put it out, but we gonna do it again. And so, everybody, please welcome to Roman episode 3, Roman Reloaded. I know Nicki Minaj made that an album, but we just gonna ignore that. Okay, take it away, Faith.
All right. So, first off, thank you, Leslie, for that wonderful introduction. I appreciate it. All right, y'all. So, we here to talk about one of our favorites, one of the men that holds the heart of the wise woman. We are here to talk about none other than Man himself, Mr. Roman Reigns. And we are going to focus on his tribal chief era, which I'm sorry, I will always take tribal chief over big dog. I don't know about you and Leslie Monty, but I give me tribal chief all day, every day, straight no chaser. So we're gonna start with the SummerSlam, August 2020. Nobody, and I mean nobody, saw Roman coming at SummerSlam 2020. Monty and Leslie, did y'all see him coming?
No, I made jokes the entire time watching that mess. I mean, I sat there, there's something happened. I go, oh, I didn't see that coming. Didn't see that coming. Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman had their match. I'm sitting there singing the Bray Wyatt theme song, and then, Roman Reigns, what? Didn't see him coming. Leslie.
I'll admit it. I was actually, kind of surprised. I remember just being, how we sometimes feel, we kind of feel that underwhelmed sometimes with the WPLEs. And I was like, this never saw it coming. This slogan, okay, whatever. It's just a slogan, it's just a pitch, it's just a catchphrase. But I truly, it's like as if, okay, Leslie, you want to play? Gotcha. Here it is. And when he showed up, it was like, y'all, I popped. I popped but y'all know me, I always do. But no, I didn't wasn't anticipating it. And just to see, but what I was most intrigued by was okay, after the newness wore off, okay, he's here. What is he gonna do? So that was my next mindset. What is he gonna do? What do we have? What's going on with him? So I was definitely glad to see him though. But that was my question. What's next?
And honestly, he showed up in a t-shirt that said wreck everyone and leave. And I'm like, wait a minute. Whose man's is this? This is not my man.
Let's talk about that for a second because his appearance was definitely different than the last time we saw him. Definitely different than Big Dog Roman Reigns, right? Big Dog Roman Reigns had that softer look to his face. He felt softer, more welcoming. He felt more dialed back. But to see Roman appear at SummerSlam in 2020, he didn't even have to speak a word. You just knew this is a whole different level of Roman
Mhm.
Reigns. This is not softness, but it wasn't at that time it wasn't extreme either. It was just like we've been listening to smooth jazz. This is crunk right now.
We were listening to smooth jazz and so put on Tupac. That's what it was.
Right, right. So in that, like Monty said, he had that wreck everyone and leave shirt. He was dominant. He made a statement without making a full statement. He didn't cut a full promo, but he did enough to intrigue us, to grip our attention. Then we move from that SummerSlam to SmackDown. And we see that a triple threat match is made on SmackDown. But during the conversation with Adam Pierce, and this is what I like to call the infamous scene, we see Roman talking to Adam. Roman sitting on the couch, and we hear Roman say something, y'all, don't we? Something
Hmm.
that caught our attention. I know I was like, wait a minute, where have I heard this before?
Hmm.
Mhm.
And what did he say? He said, that's not a spoiler. That's a what? It's a
That's
prediction.
not a prediction. That's a
That's my
spoiler.
prediction. Spoiler. And I was like, wait a minute, ain't no way. And then the camera, first off, shout out to the cameramen and women at WW. The camera does that soft, that soft turn. And who do we see?
Paul Heyman looking at Roman the same way I look at Roman every day, like just happy to be in his presence. Just hello.
First off, the way Paul Heyman look, never mind. Look, Paul Heyman looks at Roman like a long lost love that came back to him and he never wants to let go. But we understand it.
Exactly. I look at Roman the same way too. He looked at Roman like Roman was that nice ham sandwich he was about to have.
You just made me hungry.
He looked at Roman like Roman was a delish, like Roman was that cake that Brucey ate in Matilda. Okay?
He did was a buffet to Paul,
He
and
looked at
Paul.
Roman like that chili I got downstairs on the pot. You
Well,
know?
and here's the thing: Paul not only looked at Roman like a whole snack, but Paul ate it up the entire tribal chief era, and we're gonna get to that. But here's my question: when you guys saw Paul Heyman sitting next to Roman Reigns, what was your initial thought?
Oh, goodness. Like, for me, it was like, "Here we go. Business is about to pick up," especially when he finalized the deal with the what it say? Believe that. I was like, "Oh my goodness. We up. It's time to go." But that's what I thought. My first reaction, this is gonna be good. This is I mean, you're just see where this partnership's gonna go. Business is about to pick up.
The simple fact that this man looked at Roman like that chili I got downstairs, like I'm looking at that chili I got downstairs and said, believe that. I was like, okay, we're definitely eating. We are definitely
Hmm.
eating. I'm afraid to know because I know Paul Heyman is a shyster and a swindler. I love you, Paulie, but we know. But I'm
Yeah.
just, the betrayal is probably going to hurt more than we thought, than you think it will. But alas, this was a good thing to see. Paul had been trying to get Roman to come to the dark side. We had cookies, and Roman was finally like, you know what? Okay, fine, let's do it.
But here's my initial thought when I saw Paul Heyman was we in the words of Kevin Hart, it's about to go down. It is about to go down, and going down is not what it did. It went up in a major way. So is Roman a heel? Is Roman not a heel? What happened to Big Dog? Is this Big Dog with an attitude? Is Big Dog dead? And we were soon to find out that Big Dog was completely dead.
Mhm.
So let's go to the contract signing. We have the contract signing for SummerSlam. And this is where we start to see what Paul Heyman's role really kind of is for Roman, because Paul Heyman is Roman's voice in a way. He is the corporate professional side of the tribal chief of Roman Reigns. He makes sure his contracts are in order, he makes sure his negotiations are the best for what the goals are for Roman. This is where we see Paul in his bag. So the wise man shows up August 28th, 2020. We see Roman cut a promo. He's saying, I'm going to win the Universal Champ title back. He actually said, I'm going to win back the title I never lost. And if you remember, he did not lose a title. He had to relinquish it, unfortunately, because his cancer had returned, right?
Mhm.
And like you said, Monty, when Paul said believe that, I got excited. I got tingly in my spirit. Fast forward, we're at payback. The triple threat is happening. We see the Fiend. We see Braun Strowman. Roman hasn't signed the contract. Where's Roman? And this is where we also see the genius of Paul Heyman really come into play, because Paul used the wording in the contract to where Roman did not, the contract didn't say Roman had to be there at the start of the match. The contract didn't say that Roman couldn't show up whenever he wanted. It just said it had to be signed by a certain time. So we see Roman come out, and this was genius. Roman comes out with Paul with contract, signs it, and we begin. Roman pins Braun, and he says something to the ref. Do y'all remember what Roman said?
Count, bitch.
You know what? That's when we see that this Roman is not going to be a Roman that is quiet and kissing babies and high fiving fans. No, this is a Roman that is built, bred, and targeted dominance. So he pins Braun, he gets back the Universal title, and his reign begins. How did you guys feel about? Did you want to see Roman more in this match? Do you like how he came into the match? What were your thoughts about this match?
I think the way he that was the way he came into the match basically was the beginning to solidify the character. It was like, I'm going to do it my way, and no one else, in my way only. So it was like you saw when he came in with more confidence. It was like very intentional. Everything he did when this started had a purpose, and like as if he had a plan. And it's like that's what I like, and I think that's what we've said so far about this character that we've seen. He began to become calculating. So that's what I liked, and that's what I noticed even from like the beginning at that point. And you're even seeing a little bit of the aura being built, because everybody's curious, like, okay, again, what's going on? What's going to happen? Okay, we see. So he's just coming into the match. We see again, you have that. I love it because you have the unknown too. It's like, what's he going to do? But
Mhm.
just by thought.
I'm gonna be for real with y'all. When that man said count, bitch, I felt a little tingly. I got tangles. So, you know.
That was a different type of authority coming out of Roman.
Hmm.
Mhm.
It was intriguing to men, I think, and it was something else to women. I'll just say it that way.
Tangly.
It was tank.
Tangles.
Yeah.
Just tangles.
So Roman wins back the Universal Championship just 1 week after surprise return. Then we get to the SmackDown after Payback. This was, I believe, I want to say the first week of September, right?
Hmm.
This is when we first hear a certain title. This is when Roman calls himself the tribal chief. And we see the introduction of the head of the table, right?
Hmm.
And we have heard him say head of the table before in years past, back when he was after he left the Shield and he was on his own. Roman said head of the table, which comes into play later on down the line. So Roman's on SmackDown, and Paul begins to cut a promo, and he's talking about how he didn't save Roman, but Roman saved him from the ocean of obscurity, and that Roman is the one that is kind of in a way infecting him, and it's not him infecting Roman. This is all Roman's idea, right?
Hmm.
Roman's pulling the strings, and that's just what it is. So Roman has at that time, and his merch, I feel like every SmackDown we were seeing a different shirt. I don't know about y'all, but every SmackDown there was a different shirt
Hmm.
to me. So Roman's here, he's in his shirt that says show up and win. What did you guys feel about what Paul Heyman had to say?
I'm gonna say this right now. Paul Heyman, to me, when he said that, I really got the feeling that maybe this was a lie. Because, as you know, Paul Heyman, it, love you, Paul, but you're a liar. So for me, like, it was something in my head that was like, no, don't trust you. Don't trust that. We'll see what happens later on down the road. Because,
Hmm.
Paul Heyman is always looking for his next big meal ticket. So, in my opinion, I didn't really trust him. But again, what can you do? This is where we're going. This is where we're going to take the trip. So, let's take it and see how long this lasts. Leslie?
I agree. It's like when you think of Paul Heyman, you instantly think, okay, there's not going to be any trust there. So, I really didn't know how to take him other than that. It was one of those things, like you said, Monty, just let's see where it goes. With it being Paul Heyman, I was wondering how long the partnership was going to last. Um, at that time because again knowing him we're like okay how long is he in this for he does tend to latch on to those for it to to have as a meal ticket and it's like so it's like we didn't know at that time how long that was going to be for and I think that was my big question okay if he's going to be in the picture if we're going to do this partnership how long is it going to be for and okay Paul you also have other motives what's in it for you
Hmm.
other than being the proverbial meal ticket, what's in it for you?
I felt that same way. I felt like Paul, we all know who Paul is. We've seen him with past clients with like Brock and CM Punk, and we all know what his modus operandi, or however you say it. I probably didn't say it right, but we all know what it is. Paul is going to do and align himself with the biggest meal ticket he could find to keep himself on top. But there was also that something that seemed different about this alliance. It didn't just seem like it was about money right off the rip. It
Mm-hmm.
seemed like, and we know there's a history of Paul Heyman with the Samoan dynasty, with the Anawahi Fatu family. We know that. But this seems different with Roman. There seems to be a ton of admiration, a ton of respect, an immediate kind of love from Paul to Roman. And I think as we see their relationship build, you'll see that Roman's a lot softer with Paul than his past clients. But that's enough about Paul. Let's get back to Roman. So here we are. Roman's now the Universal Champion. He's running Raw. There's a SmackDown, excuse me. There is a quote he said, and I believe he said it at the end of that promo with Paul. And what I remember Roman saying, he just told the locker room, and I think he was talking to WWE as a whole, because in Roman's mind, he was WWE. WWE was on his back for years. And he said, "You don't get fed unless you're at my table." Woo! Mic drop.
Mm,
That was a powerful statement for Roman to make. Number one, he's now come out and declared himself as a tribal chief. He's introduced that he's the head of the table. And when that whole concept first came about, it's like, well, what table? What are you talking about, Roman? And with that singular quote, he made it clear that the table he's talking about is SmackDown. The table he's talking about is the WWE. The table he's talking about is the dominance he will be as champion, as the Universal Champion. And he's right. A lot of the stars he faced, they didn't get fed unless they came to his table. So now, moving forward, we see a familiar face as Roman and Paul leaves the ring and they're walking through backstage. We see someone that him and his brother have become lovable to us as a tag team. We see the entrance of the one and only Jay Uso. Yeet.
mhm,
Jay, we see this interaction between Jay and Roman, and let's be clear. The last time that we saw Jay, Roman, and Jimmy interact together, it was on SmackDown prior to the Tribal Chief era. They were fighting Baron Corbin, Dolph Ziggler, and Robert Roode. And Roman was loving his cousins. They were working together well. Things occurred, pandemic hit. Here we are. You instantly could see a change between Roman and Jay. You could see that Roman is kind of blowing Jay off immediately, especially when Jay poses the question to him, pretty much saying, "Hey man, what you doing with Paulie? Do you even think you could trust him?" And then Roman tells him, "Look, we'll catch up later." And of course, being the unserious person that he is, Jay says, "Hey, let's get a steak later or something, all right?" Jay's introduction here was the beginning of something magical that none of us could have expected would last the years that it did. So Jay is now introduced into this. Monty, what are your thoughts about Jay's introduction and the interaction that Roman and Jay had there?
Okay, so that whole segment with Roman and Jay, and you could tell Roman is kind of he's being big. He's big timing him. He's being Mr. Hollywood. He's big timing him. And when Roman walked away, and Jay, of course, he asked, "Hey, you want to go get some steak later?" Nah, I was like, something's gonna come out of this. I don't know what it is. I'm a little scared to find out, but we're gonna find out anyway. Leslie.
Y'all are hitting it like on the head. I agree with that. With everything. I think Jay saw though perhaps the change in Roman at that time. Again, little did we know what that change would be as we go, and Faith's going to cover all that. But I had never seen him really dismiss one of the twins like that, and to be not in a mean dismissive way, but just I'd never seen him just like you always saw a very positive, fun interaction with Roman and the twins. And this is where, once again, we see into this um, new personality, this new Roman. Or we'll answer later, was it a new Roman? I just feel this is the beginning, and we're just seeing it, and it's one of those things. It kind of intrigues you too as to where Jay and Roman's relationship's going to go, or where, if not the twins and Roman in general.
And this is really the first time we've seen Jay without Jimmy. This is now Jay Uso on his own. Now we've seen Jimmy without Jay when Jay unfortunately got injured. I want to say back in 2015, Jimmy was not in competition, but he was on commentary for some months, for an entire summer, I think. And we saw him do one match where he tagged with Roman and at that time Dean Ambrose. But this is really the first time we've seen Jay really be in a position to show us who is Jay Uso, right? Which during this whole tribal chief era for Jay was his whole thing, proven and showing that he has his own identity. But how can Jay do that? Where does that start? This is where we kind of start seeing the tribal chief manipulate things to a certain end. And what I mean by that is he gets Jay into a match that leads Jay to be the number one contender to face Roman for the Universal title. And to me, when I first put two and two together, my thought was Roman did this thinking that Jay would just bow out gracefully. And the match that I'm talking about is Clash of Champion. So Jay wins that qualifying match. And like I said, my initial thought is, oh, okay, Roman, I see what you did there. You got Jay into this match because the rest of the talent, the rest of the superstars voiced how they did not like that Roman's cousin was in the match, and it just so happens Roman's cousin wins to face him, and they kind of insinuate that Roman and Paul set this up so that Roman didn't have to have a real challenge for his title defense. Leslie, what did you think when you realized that Jay was going to be facing Roman at Clash of Champions?
Well, I think then, well, we all know how. I think I feel a little different about it though. I didn't think it was going to be one of those things where excuse me, where Jay would like kind of it would be smooth sailing. Roman, perhaps now in his head may have thought, okay, it's cousin, we're going to be smooth sailing. You know what? He's gonna either go light on me, we're gonna flow through this, and I'm gonna win this match. He's gonna basically lay down for me, right? But I got the feeling like that's not Jay. And I think it was, I got that feeling before then, knowing how Jay, what a competitor he was, even as a tag team. So I didn't think it was going to be the fight that it was, but I also didn't think it was going to be as easy as Roman thought it would be either. Because I think he was going to do what he did, make it a point to say, "Because I'm here, let's do this, let's bring down the house, let's put on a show." I just don't think like like y'all saying, or y'all probably I just didn't think Roman was going to take him serious, and I feel like Jay showed him otherwise. That yeah, that hey, I'm going to get it. It's my shot. I want a shot at the title too. So yes, I think that's when he went in there. That's the attitude he went in there with.
Yeah. Bonnie, what are your thoughts?
I think I knew what Roman was doing when he put Jay in the match. This is how we build soldiers. We break them. We did break people's spirits and souls before we build them back up. This is why I called this series of matches that happened, this one and then the one at Hell in a Cell. This is why they're so important to the storyline and why I refer to them as training day. Roman
Mm,
saw the future in Jay. And so he had to get Jay to stop playing, stop dicking around, stop screwing around, and see what's right in front of you. Because this is the mantle that I'm leaving you.
mm-hmm.
That's what I think it was. I didn't see it as, oh, Roman's taking an easy way out. Because if Roman's gonna beat the shit out of Baron Corbin, he gonna beat the shit out of Baron Corbin. But it to me it was, I need to train the person that is going to keep the family in business, and the only way I can do that is if I break his spirit, because he's doing too much and he cannot focus, and I need him to focus. That was
Mm-hmm.
my opinion.
Great points. Great points all the way around. I love the Usos, so I was excited to see that Jay. Well, I'll say it this way, that WWE had enough belief in Jay to bring him into whatever they were building. Because at that time, we weren't sure what this was going to be. Is it going to be just a couple months? Is it going to be a year? What is this new Roman? What is he going to bring and what is it going to look like? So we then see some more interaction between Roman and Jay. Now we're at September 11th, 2020. There's a tag match with Roman and Jay versus King Corbin and Sheamus. At this time, Jay was still very much his unserious self, because there is another infamous unserious moment with Jay. And if you guys recall, it's when Jay went to knock on Roman's locker room door. And he's like, come on, cuz we got stuff to do. And he starts playing out a beat on that door. Do you guys remember that?
Open the
Yes, yes.
door. Open the
Open the
door
door.
right now. Open the door.
Oh my goodness.
That was still that lovable Jay. That was the Jay that had the light in his eyes, love in his heart, just unserious, carefree, just out here living his best life, right? So we see the tag match start, and Jay's out there by himself. Where's Roman? Where is Roman? Roman comes in, and as Jay is about to score the pinfall, we see him tag in. Roman scores the pinfall. That I don't think people paid attention to some of the small details at the time, because we were just caught up in what was happening. But Roman even made a statement with that action. Him tagging in and taking the pinfall was saying to Jay and everyone else, you will not outdo me. You will not outshine me. I am the tribal chief, and the tribal chief will win and take it all. Did you guys, what were your feelings around that? Did you catch that? What did you think about that moment?
There were other little moments here and there that I caught, like if that one, if y'all remember, where Roman picked up, where Jay picked up the title and he was gonna hoist it up, and he tossed it back to Roman, and they just kikiing and laughing and hugging, and then Jay gets out the ring, and Roman's face just changed
Mm-hmm.
overnight. He just went from it's just not
Yeah.
funny. He gonna learn today. He gonna learn today. This shit ain't funny. He still thinks this is a motherfucking game. He finna learn today. That is the face that I saw.
Leslie?
Y'all couldn't have said it better. I had when you brought that up, I just remembered it. But the way that face turned, I was like, okay, okay. I was waiting for him. I was like, he in trouble, Jay in trouble. But I can't add any more to y'all. Y'all have, y'all really brought that out. That was a turning point though, because I think you start to see Roman get tired. It's time to be serious, and you start to see him get tired of, in his eyes, the foolishness. Jay being unserious. He's ready. He's now. It's time to get him. It's time to get him to understand. It's time to get him to understand and begin to mold him into what he wants him to be. And I think that's a turning point. he realizes that, and he's like, "Okay, it's got to be done. This we got to pull the trigger. It's got to be now. We got to make this change. We got to make him understand now. I'm sick of this. We got to make him. I got to make him understand."
I agree with that. I think that Roman came into this with a plan. And Roman's plan was, and I don't even think he shared that plan with Paul, because Paul, in the interactions between Roman and Jay, if you go back and pay attention to Paul's expression, Paul is even shocked. Right? And I think Roman came into this knowing that Jay was there, knowing that he was going to need his family with him as he takes on this new title reign, because Roman obviously is here to do it his way. And that's the only way. It's his way or the highway. And so Jimmy's out. Here's Jay. I think Roman was very calculating and said, "This is what Jay has inside of him, but he's so unserious. He's so used to playing around, and I don't got time to play around. I'm the tribal chief." So we see something else happen between Jay and Roman, and this is kind of the first time that we see Roman insert this dominance over Jay. And this is when the infamous Superman punch to Jay happened on September 25th of 2020. Roman dropped Jay, like dropped him with that Superman punch. But before that happened, there was some very emotional things that Jay said. Do you guys remember his promo in ring?
He said that people, whenever people came around that like saw him and Jimmy, they asked him, "Which one are you?" That was
Yeah.
the part that really stuck to me, was when he said, people don't, they look at me and they say, "Which twin are you?" They don't recognize me as Jay Uso.
Right.
And so that was really the emotional part to me.
Leslie, how did you feel about Jay's promo where he's pouring out his heart? Not only did he say that people said to him, what or which one are you? But he also said, "Why can't I be the one to help the family? Why can't I be the one to shoulder the responsibility?" What were your feelings at that time?
To be honest, I just felt really bad for him because it's like, it's I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but it's like I could see kind of the questioning. It's I don't know, y'all. It just that one got me. That one got me a little bit, and it's like just like it's like as if he wanted Roman to understand, to see he has a place, that he had a place too. But again, we didn't know that was Roman's plan, is to help, is to break him, to help him, quote, find his place. Just do
Mhm.
just the opposite, to find his place. But that one got me. I mean, there's others throughout the journey that you're going to discuss, that we'll discuss. That one kind of got me. It was personal because he was talking about, me. Why can't I be the one? Why does, when everybody, like you said, it got me.
And me too. And I think it got everyone watching because this is a different feel. This is not just a match or something coming up between two cousins. This is deep. This is emotional. It's cinematic. And it became known as Master Oos Theater.
And you know what, with me, I think this was part of it too. That's the first time we don't see this fun loving, this unserious Jay. We see him more in a somber state. Yes, it's no longer this fun loving, this Kikian Jay that we all knew and that we all love, and that's joking around. It's a more somber, a more serious, even starting to become a more serious, but he's questioning himself too, like, why can't it be?
Right, right. So here we are. We see this Jay. Roman seems to be listening to him for a brief moment because we see Roman kind of stop on the ramp. He doesn't turn around to face Jay, he keeps his back to Jay because, as the camera showed us, and again, if you go back and revisit that episode of SmackDown, we kind of see Big Dog come across Roman's face. We see that softness come back to Roman, and then something clicks, and immediately the tribal chief comes back in. It was almost like Roman was like, "Oh my God, you know what? He's right. Jay has always been the one behind me and Jimmy. Jay has always, and then all of a sudden, those thoughts switched to, but I'm the tribal chief.
And if you notice, if I can remember correctly, he still doesn't turn around to face him, so he still kinda got his back to him.
Mhm.
And then Jay went up the ramp and he got Superman punch, and Roman cut that promo of, I don't just feed your kids, I don't feed my kids, I feed a whole family. You gonna take the payday and you gonna take the ass whooping that comes with it. And this is a whole new side of Roman. You gonna
Yes.
take the payday and take the ass whooping that comes with it. Sir, you talk like this to your kids?
Well, it wasn't even, it was, well, damn, Roman.
He was
That's your cousin.
he was lecturing him like this was his child. I was like, are you kidding?
Right, that's like, "Why you gotta be so mean?"
Exactly. This is why he gets the nickname Man and Man from ATD. Cause you sit there and you gonna say to this man, you gonna take the payday, you gonna take the ass whooping that comes with it. Sir!
That was an authoritative Roman. That was a villainous heel that really we had not seen in sometimes, not in that emotional level. So now here we are, and Monty has coined this, and it's so true. She's coined this training day. And this is where we see Clash of Champions happen back in September 27th of 2020. Oh, that match, Clash of the Champions with Jay and Roman. I really thought that Roman thought Jay was just going to be an easy conquest for him. He wouldn't have to work hard, he wouldn't have to pull out any stops. And I will say that Roman, even in the past, before the tribal chief era, Roman never underestimated his opponents. But I think he did with Jay
There was
because Jay was showing him
Mm.
some stuff.
there was that. And then there was that moment where y'all remember Roman looked at the ref and he said, you ready? I'm not ready yet. And then he looked
Right.
at the ref again and he's like, do not make me correct you again. Do you understand me? I was like, yo, you go talk to the referee. Like, he was mad rude during that match.
But that was the introduction of what we all love. One of the things we love about the tribal chief character is the in ring talking mess.
Exactly.
Mm.
It's mad rude.
It's
It's mad
mad rude, but we love it.
rude.
We
We
eat
do.
it up.
You ready yet? I'm not ready. He's sitting there talking. Was that Charles Robinson or Dan Angler he was talking that shit to?
I think that was Charles Robinson.
Just do not make me correct you again. Do you understand me? What?
Y'all, and you will probably hear us bring up Dan Angler as we go through this,
We love you, Dan
but
Angler.
he is the Bloodlines referee.
Every time we see Dan Angler and he's reffing anything bloodline related, we know shenanigans are afoot.
Shenanigans are afoot. So here we are, Clash of Champions. It's an emotional match. You can see that Roman is, in a way, he's surprised at what he's getting from Jay, but at the same time, he's not really surprised because, as we know, Roman has said it recently that he always knew Jay, what Jay had in him. But I think during this match, he just expected Jay to bow down, right? We get to the point of the match where Jay is laying on the mat. Roman is standing above him. He's telling Jay, you will acknowledge me. This is where we see the introduction of acknowledge me. This is where we finally understand Roman has to have, if you know anything about Samoan culture, and even if you don't, it was clear that Roman needed a lackey, a subordinate. He needed someone that could do his bidding. And that person was not gonna just align with him. And Roman wasn't seeking another superstar. It had to be family. And they had to acknowledge him as tribal chief. We see Jay laying there, all but lifeless. And who do we see appear?
Jemison.
Jemison. And what does he have in his hand? He has a towel.
A damn towel.
He grabs Jay's hand, and y'all, this is where tears began to flow for me. He grabbed Jay's hand, and he's like, "Come on, Oos, you ain't gotta do this. You ain't gotta prove nothing to him." And Roman starts talking to Jimmy. No, you gonna get in this ring, and you will acknowledge me too. And so Jimmy is talking to Jay, Jay is like, don't do it. Don't do it, Ooze. And this is where we hear them call each other their actual names. And we see the love between Jimmy and Jay. And we see how Jimmy is always back in Jay. Look, you ain't got to prove nothing to him. There's nothing that you need to do. And you don't need to continue this fight. We see that Jimmy is concerned. What was the moment like for you guys watching that? Leslie?
And this is the beginning of the hell that Roman Reigns put us through, y'all.
Mm.
I was okay up until this match. My I did not have to do therapy until
I'm gonna say this right now. This match to me was bad. The one that we're gonna talk about next, that one is the one that, by the way,
oh,
sir, Roman, Jimmy, Jay, y'all, where do we need to send our therapy bills to?
Right.
but didn't he call him didn't he like was it let's see, was it Jimmy or Jay? Didn't Jay something to say something to the effect of like he's like, I'm throwing in the towel. Ooh, so I'm throwing it. He's like, don't John or no John or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
Yep.
like
Yep.
Don't throw that shit. Forget this fool. Don't throw that shit. There was the reason why I say this match is not the match for me is simply because, and to me, it was very kiddish in the way that he did it, and I can't help but giggle. He said, "I want you to call me, like acknowledge me. I want you to call me Chief," and I started to giggle.
now was it this one or was it the type that
No,
the one?
it was this one. It was this one because it was like, I want you to acknowledge me. I want you to call me chief. I like, you know how, like, if you ever get into a fight with your cousin and like, or somebody, and they're telling you to say uncle. To me, it was like, I want you to say uncle. And it made me giggle because it was like I could see them doing that on the playground and just being like, somebody come get Joe off of Joshua. Jonathan, come get your cousins. They fighting again. But it just, go ahead.
Is that where he was in this like in the corner saying that like where he was
Yes.
talking to the camera?
Yes. He's like, I want you to look at everybody in the camera and I want you to tell, and I'm like, this is childish to me. This
And
feels
he
like
said,
something not today, oops, not today. I'm like, this is feels so kiddish to me. It's when we get to Hell in the Cell when I'm like, okay, this wasn't no damn game. It was all fun and games until Hell in a Cell.
Y'all, the Clash of Champions match with Jay and Roman showed me that whatever this storyline was, it was not about to be easy on us. It was going to take us on a roller coaster of emotions. And the emotions that we were going to get right now, it was going to be intense. Like Leslie said, and like Bonnie said, where do we send our therapy bills? Who is gonna get us? I don't know about y'all, but I was like, I need a drink after that match. I was like, what did I just watch? What just happened? So now the match is over. Roman retains. We're back on SmackDown, October 2nd, 2020. Roman is still demanding to be acknowledged by Jay. And this is something I thought, even leading up to Hell in the Cell. Why do you need him to acknowledge you so bad? Does nobody else in the family acknowledge you? None of the elders, none of the other family members. But why so bad do you need Jay to acknowledge you? Did you guys ever have that thought?
I think for me, like it was just in the beginning, yes, we did see it was just Jay. And I don't know, maybe I don't know. I
If
have no answer.
I were to put it in a storyteller perspective, I think it's because Jay is the next in line.
Mm.
Roman and
So
Jay
that
are the
was
same. Roman and Jay are the same age. Jimmy don't want to be tribal chief, so Jay's the next one.
so you think Roman
Again, I think it also, you got to remember Roman is what? What is it called? Half Samoan, half Akasi. Am I saying that correctly?
Fagasi, yeah.
Afagasi, yes, me. Pardon me, Afagasi. Jay isn't. So
True.
there's something to
This is
prove.
true.
Roman had two things to prove at the time. He's Afagasi and also Jay's full Samoan. They were actually both competing for this Ulafala.
Mm-hmm. They
And
were.
so if Jay couldn't acknowledge Roman, this is where they had to go next. That's just my
Yes.
opinion.
I think, and I'm with you on that. I think that Roman obviously, and we heard this in his documentary more recently, but Roman, I think Roman felt like he really had to prove himself, and he needed someone in the family that was full blood to acknowledge him, for him to feel, in a sense, I'm gonna say this. I think Roman wanted Jay's acknowledgement for a couple reasons. One, Jay was full blooded Samoan. Two, he needed a right hand. He needed someone that would do his bidding without question. And that match at Clash of Champions showed Roman that you not gonna conquer Jay and get Jay to be your lackey as easy as you thought. So what do? You make him acknowledge who you are. You make him acknowledge, you make a full blooded Samoan person acknowledge who you are. So we're on SmackDown, like I said, October 23, 2020. And there is something fun about being twins, y'all. Because even as they got older and their looks kind of started being different, if they covered up certain parts of themselves, you didn't know who was Jay and who was Jimmy. And we see here who we think is Jay on the Titantron talking to Roman. Now, I will say this, and a lot of the male superstars have said the same thing. When it comes to men, they can't tell Jay and Jimmy apart. But for women, we can easily tell Jay and Jimmy apart. The moment I heard the voice on the Titantron, I was like, that's Jimmy.
Mm-hmm.
That ain't Jay. That is Jimmy. He said, I'm up here eating the tribal chief grapes and the tribal chief, sipping the tribal chief water. And he said, you got your head so far up your tribal chief ass. And he told Roman, he said, you done lost touch. You've lost touch with our family. You losing touch with everything. And then he said, but don't ask me. And the moment that Jimmy said, don't ask me, you can see Roman's face go, oh shit. And he realized that it was Jimmy on the screen. And Jimmy pulls down his bandana, he takes off his hat, and he says, ask my brother Jay. And I was like, yes, yes, Jimmy and Jay, yes.
And once again, Roman got hit in the back with a damn chair. I swear to God, we gonna learn this lesson many times until finally he just remembers. Oh wait a minute, watching my back for chair shots. Ha ha! Never again.
Yes. Leslie, what are your thoughts on that moment where Jimmy sets up Roman?
You know what? After saying what he said, I hear I am eating. He went through his, that whole promo. I kind of didn't doubt that it wasn't Jimmy though, because again, he to me, and as we see, the unserious one. So it doesn't surprise me that he would, that would have been him that said.
Yeah,
So was I surprised? I mean, not really, but was it good? Yeah.
it was so good, y'all.
One day, man,
And the
only.
chair shot to the back. Do you not warn everybody? Do you not warn him
Watch. I
every
warned
week?
this man
Well,
every week to watch his damn back for chair shots. He is not listened to me once. It's like I told him to go take him to ayahuasca and have ego death. Some stuff he listens to me on. He got a new cell phone. Now I need him to listen to me about them damn chair shots. Watch your back.
Y'all, Roman is forever taking a ever since that Seth chair shot to break up the Shield. That is like the dagger, the most disrespectful thing you could do to Roman Reigns, is
It
hit him
is. It
in the
is the
back of the damn
cruelest
chair.
thing in the world. It's like, y'all know Roman got PTSD. Why y'all gotta do that to him?
And you know it's gonna bring out the monster
It
in
is. He
Roman.
gonna get upset with you and be like, "Oh God, I remember when Seth Rollins did this. Now you gotta die." Really? Swear to God, if you were at the gym with Roman Reigns and you just hit him in the back with a chair, he gonna find you.
He gonna find you.
He gonna find you.
So Jimmy and Jay, they pulled this setup. Jay, we now see Jay and Jimmy on the ramp. You could see in the faces in the monitors at that time, because remember, this was during the pandemic. You could see that the crowd is cheering and they're with Jay and Jimmy. And Roman gets on the mic and we see emotion back into it now. And Roman tells him, you know what, you done brought your brother into this. And now you brought both your families into this. And he tells them, if I lose this title, or no, I'm sorry, if Jay loses then Jimmy and Jay, not only are they out of the family, but they have to acknowledge him. And we see Jay say, "Who you, Oos?" But Jimmy holds Jay back and is like, "Hold on, let's listen to him." And I think in that moment, in this part of the storyline, Jay and Jimmy had to weigh the cost because it seemed like at that time they weren't they. I feel like the family wasn't acknowledging Roman as a tribal chief. That Roman was just inserting himself as tribal chief because to have a reaction like, "Who are you, Oos?" and Jimmy's like, "Hold up, what is he saying?" It's almost like they were like, bruh, you tripping. What was your thoughts about that moment? When Roman let it be known that since Jay brought Jimmy into it, both their families were on the verge of being put out of the family if Jay lost.
Oh gosh, I think that's when it got serious for him. I think he realized, and maybe that's even when he started trying to think about getting Jimmy in. Well, I can't have this dissension. I can't have him influencing Jay. Let me put some kind of incentive to see if I could get Jimmy to acknowledge to it. I don't think it was so far in that at that time like a threat, but I think he was making him kind of aware. But I think that was his thing. I've got to stop. I've got to stop Jimmy from influencing Jay any further. So I've got to start working on on Jimmy. So
Hmm.
that's what I think as far as that.
I feel that same way, and I agree with everything you just said. I honestly think that Roman thought, as far as Jay and Jimmy was concerned, that they were going to be easy to get to come to his side. But when he saw that Jay had that dog in him, so to speak, he had that fight in him, it changed things. So now here we are, the SmackDown before Hell in a Cell. Do you guys remember that moment when they dropped the cell down and Jay climbs up
Mm-hmm.
on the cell and he's staring at Roman through the cell? No words were needed, no commentary needed. You knew what that look between them meant, and you saw Jay pretty much telling Roman without words, "I ain't nobody's bitch," which we'll get back to that statement a little later. But Jay was telling Roman, "You not just gonna throw me to the side. You gonna have to work. If you want me to acknowledge you, you gonna have to take the acknowledgement from me." So now we're at Hell in the Cell 2 days later, October 25th, 2020, and there's a stipulation to this match, y'all. This is an I Quit match. And I remember going into this match thinking, "Oh my God, Roman is going to kill this boy." I remember feeling so afraid for Jay. Proud of him, but so afraid because there was a lot on the line. Roman was just inserting himself and dominating as the tribal chief. He cannot have his family beat him, take his title, and end the tribal chief right there. There was no way Roman was going to allow that to happen. They're in this match. The match is going on. We see brutality. We see Jay grab a strap. He's whipping Roman. We see Roman grab the strap. He's whipping Jay. We see brutality. We see anger, rage. We see all these things, right? And Roman is dang near killing Jay. And it comes to the point where the ref is pleading with Jay to just say, "I quit." It went from, "Jay, do you want to quit?" to, "Jay, all you have to say is I quit." What was y'all's feelings on this, Monty?
Okay, so this is the Training Day Part 2 Electric Boogaloo, as I like to refer to this. This match made me go through all 5 stages of grief and feel things that I didn't feel. Let's just say this right now: Roman Reigns with a strap,
Mm,
the safe word is butternut.
mm,
Second thing I want to say is this: Roman said a prayer before he entered that damn.
mm,
And what I read, what I now I tried to read his lips, and he said, "God forgive me for what I'm about to do. I'm a good person." I said, "Bullshit, bullshit." We'll see. And when he walked into the cage and everything, first stage grief, no big deal, denial. Okay, come on, it's gonna be fine. It got to the part where Roman put the steps in front of Jay and he rubbed his head and he said, "We're gonna be just fine." that I started, they were using government names. I started using government names. Joe, stop, you're gonna kill him.
Yeah.
Just a, we're gonna be just fine. What, this is now murder. This is now like we are all watching, we're all witnessing a murder. And then of course he sat there, he's talking to the referee. Referee's like, your cousin is out. Like, what are you looking at me? I didn't do anything. The referee's discussing. I can't believe you did this. Your cousin is out. Roman goes, nah, bitch, you're out. Throws the referee out the ring. And he says to Paul, no one takes the match off the program. The match is going to end when I'm ready for it to end. And then everybody comes in. Adam Pierce, everybody, Roman, stop. Jessica Carr says, Roman, stop. Think about this. And I said, Jessica, he has already thought about it. He's going to kill this man. Somebody please come stop him. And Roman had the steps and he sat there and he had this nice long monologue about how, when we were kids, we used to do all of this stuff, but you always keep testing me. And he raises the steps up and he says, I love you. And then Jimmy comes out and he's like, yo, stop. What are you doing? This is Josh.
Now, I don't mean to cut you off, Monty, but I want to point out a couple things here. When you said that you were thinking to yourself, yo, Jessica, he's already thought about it. Roman wasn't hearing nobody at that point.
He did there. She said, Roman, stop thinking about something. Jessica, he thought about it. Like, everybody get out the ring.
There was nothing nobody could have said to Roman at that point
And
because his whole agenda in this match was one, to make Jay say the words quit, because in the sentiment of Jay saying I quit, it was also Jay saying I acknowledge you. Secondly, Roman discovered something in that match. Roman discovered Jay had an extreme weakness. After everything that Roman did to Jay in that Hell in the Cell, there was only one thing that made Jay utter the words, I quit. And that exposed weakness was Jimmy. And as Monty was saying, we see Jimmy come out to the ring. We see him get in the ring, cover Jay with his own body, and look at Roman and say, this is Josh, fool. Don't you know who we are? You can't be like this. You want to be acknowledged. Is that what you want? And people don't realize this. Jimmy was the first one to acknowledge Roman. He did it because he thought it would stop the match. He did it because he thought it would save Jay from further punishment. Because at that time, Jay was completely lifeless. There was no life in Jay. He was laying on that match. He hadn't said a word for some time. He hadn't done any movement. We see even tears start to kind of form in Jimmy. And then we see Roman start to cry. And I don't know about y'all, but I was like, okay, oh God, thank God he's listening to him. But
nah,
towards when he reached out for Jimmy's hand and he said, I love you too, I was like, no, hell no.
nah, I'm
Oh,
gonna say
no.
this right now. And as soon as I saw the tears forming, I'm going, is he fucking with us? He fucking with us. And then when he pulled Jimmy into the guillotine, I'm like, yep, he was fucking with us the whole damn time. He don't mean none of that shit. He just in there boo-hooing and crying.
Leslie, what did you think?
Oh gosh, that whole match, y'all had me going in so many ways. It was like, and yeah, same government names were said, but in that moment when he started crying, and well, if we were on video, air quotes crying, I lost it, and I got tickled because it's like, okay, give this man his image. Come on now, did we really think he was sorry and he was emotional and he was all this? As we learned a few minutes later, I'm going to let you share that, Faith, what happens after he did what he did. I was like, I swear I hate you and I love you at the same time right now, because it was good, it was entertaining. And as we, again, another piece of master Oos theater, but that cry, I don't even know who I am anymore.
He was fucking with us.
Shut,
He was fucking with us. He was fucking with us.
shut up, right?
Straight up.
In that moment, I think he was telling the truth. One thing that the tribal chief, one thing that Roman has never done since the beginning is lie to us. And I don't think he was being manipulative or lying when he said that. I think he was really in that moment because we've seen him have these split-second moments of teetering throughout the tribal chief era. It became less and less the more his reign went on, but I think he was being truthful in that moment. I think he was saying, look, I don't know who I am right now. And it would to your best interest to get up out this ring. And then what does he do? He chokes Jimmy out. We see Jimmy reach for Jay. He's slapping on Jay. He's calling for Josh. All of a sudden, Jay wakes up and he starts screaming, John, John, let him go. And he says, I quit. I cried. I'm not going to lie, y'all. Because if Jimmy had not came out there, Roman would have had to kill Jay to get him to say, I quit. Who knows what that match would have looked like? Who knows what links Roman Reigns would have went to get Jay to say I quit? We see Roman wipe a tear away. And what does this man have the audacity to say to the twins? I
Love
love
y'all.
Love y'all.
I love y'all. You done choked me and my brother out? Really?
And he just didn't wipe it away. Dude, like, wipes it kind of on his chest. I love y'all. I was like, you
Still, the craziest part, and this is why I'm like, he faked it. He conned us. He conned us right here. He conned us. The reason why I say that is when they announce the winner, he lets out a sigh and then he looks up and he just looks just straight up like, yeah, I got you, motherfuckers. Yeah. Yeah, this is my fucking player. It's my fucking island. That is the look of it. I was like, ooh. I was like, oh my God. There's the way the face changed. And that's when I said, someone call Martin Scorsese and tell him Roman Reigns is on his way.
for real.
Because that was method. And this is why I say it once, I'm going to say it again, and I'm going to repeat it on this one. Roman Reigns is the Victor Newman of WWE.
You could say that twice because it's true. Roman
Roman
saying that
Reigns.
the way. Go ahead, say it.
Roman Reigns is the Victor Newman of WWE, and if you don't know who Victor Newman is, call your grandma. Tell her you miss her.
Right. What we saw was that whatever this storyline was going to become, it was going to involve three major players: Roman, Jimmy, and Jay. With Jay being more prominent than Jimmy because as we know Jimmy was recovering from his knee injury. But that moment solidified to me that this was not just a wrestling entertainment storyline. This was cinema. This was a movie we was about to watch. They brought in the culture, they brought in emotions between them going all the way back to when they were kids. They brought in Roman's his urgency to get someone in the family to acknowledge him as their tribal chief. It was about ownership, it was about dominance, it was about honor. And so the match is over. Leaves the cage. Him and Paul are walking up the ramp. Roman looks up. He has this very soft and gentle smile on his face. And at that time, I was so pissed at Roman. I didn't know what to expect, nor did I care. Because that shot of Jay with his hands over his face, crying in the ring, and Jimmy holding him broke me. It broke me, okay? Then we see none other than Afa and Sika, the wild Samoans, standing in their lava lava, standing with the Ulafalas that signify their status in the family. They are the elders, they are the chiefs of their family. And they are standing there welcoming Roman. And we see Roman's dad hug him, embrace him as he embraces his uncle. But Roman dad puts the Ulafala on him, and finally Roman is acknowledged and crowned as the head of the family, as the head of the table, as the tribal chief. And he raises his title. He faces Jimmy and Jay as he stands between the two pillars of the family. And he says, without saying a word to Jimmy and Jay, you will acknowledge me, because now reality sets in. Jay has to fall in line, or it cost him and Jimmy's families to be put out of the family. So now we're at SmackDown. It's October 3rd, 2020. We see interaction between Jay and Roman. And this was another emotional. We did not get a break on the intense emotions, okay? Because that moment, Jay says to him, why me? Why you doing this to me? He said, I hate you. And when Jay said that I hate you, that wasn't play. That came from a real place. That whole promo interaction, bro.
Can I just say this right now? That growl of Roman saying, "What are you gonna do about it? What will you do?" I'm like, oh my god, I don't know how to feel. I feel something scared. I don't know. What will you do? What will you do?
The way that that penetrated, the way that the I hate you echoed, the way that the tears coming down his face, the way Roman stood there without emotion, with voidness, with emptiness, not letting what Jay was saying affect him, only focusing on the acknowledging the falling in line of Jay.
Let's just
Roman was, boy,
let's just say he didn't give a damn. And so when he said, "What are you gonna? There's nothing you can do about it." I mean, what are you gonna do? What will you do? I'm like, oh shit. There's really nothing you can do about this. He's not playing with you.
you want to know what really pissed me off?
What?
When he grabbed the back of Jay's head and patted his head, it pissed me off.
Is that the same promo where he was like, when Jay "I hate you," and he was like, "I know you do," or something like
Yeah.
Yep,
that, and then
And
yep.
then he was like,
proceed
"You'll,
with his explanation.
but you'll love me later." And I'm like, "Bitch,
Yeah,
fuck,
yes,
he
but
hates
you'll
you."
love me for it or love me.
Y'all, I ain't never been so mad at Roman. Don't be patting the back of his damn head like that, Roman. So angry. So we see that happen. And Roman pretty much tells Jay he has until the end of the show to fall in line.
Was up by
Right?
the end of the night where
The
he sat
end.
there and hit this. Like, how does one get their voice to be that deep when they're trying to make a command to somebody? No wonder why. I would be in a corner, like, okay, I guess.
Now you know what that is. That's a daddy voice.
But by the
That's the
end of the
daddy
night,
voice.
and I'm thinking to myself once again, the safe word is butternut. The 50
Lord
Shades of
Jesus.
Grey, are you talking to me in that way, sir, on a Friday?
Not the 50 Shades.
I am a lady.
Thanks.
He said by the end of the night, and I'm like, kind of voice is that? Like, who talks like that to
I'm gonna be
somebody?
honest. I'm gonna be honest. I was like, say it again.
It's hot.
Say
It's
it
a
one more
little
time.
hot, sir, by the
And,
end of
and,
the night.
and say it slower. Say it slower.
Where he slowed
Okay.
his voice and said, "Will you do?" I was like, I don't know. I don't know.
We see the night go on, and there's a match, and the match involves Daniel Bryan, right? And Roman comes out. Him and Paul, Jay and Daniel have had their match, and it's the end of the night. Roman comes out for Jay's answer. And with all reluctance and his heart breaking, because you can see it on his face, Jay doesn't look Roman in the eyes. And if you guys don't know, in Samoan culture, when someone is regarded a higher status than you do not look them in the eyes when addressing them. And if you go back and watch that moment, as Jay is falling in line, he agrees to fall in line. He agrees to acknowledge Roman. His eyes are down and off to the left. And that's culture entering in. So Roman tells Jay, or no, I'm sorry, Jay tells Roman, I'm with you. I get it now. I understand. You have to imagine between the I hate you promo and Jay now accepting that he has to fall in line, you can only imagine what Jay's mental state was like in between that time. Did he talk to Jimmy? Did Jimmy say, hey, bro, our families can't be put out of this family? What are we going to do? How we going to make it? How we going to live? Did Jay talk to his wife? Did Jay talk to Rikishi, who is also an elder in chief in
Hmm.
this family? You can only imagine the conversations that were had, right? But Jay says, I get it now. I get it. I'm with you. Now, he doesn't say, I acknowledge you. He doesn't say those words yet.
Mm-mm.
He says, I'm with you. Because you can clearly see it's breaking Jay's heart to do this. Roman stands there with his head held high, accepting that this is Jay's way of acknowledging him. And he says, make him understand. And the him he's talking about is Daniel Bryan. Jay falls in line and puts a beating a beating on Daniel Bryan. And while Jay is beating Daniel, he's saying things to Daniel. And you can imagine that what he is conveying to Daniel is Jay talking to himself.
Mhm.
What were your thoughts about this whole segment?
This is actually the birth of suspicious gang activity because what Roman just did to Jay is gang culture. He jumped him in. And so now Daniel Bryan's the first person that you gonna send your newest gang member to go mess up with. He jumped him in. Gang gang.
Let's
I don't know, it was interesting to see, like you said, he didn't really, and I never caught that or thought about it that way, but he didn't say that, "I acknowledge you now." He did say, "I'm with you." So, that was kinda, I never thought about that before, but that makes sense. But, and then that now make him understand. And, that conversation he was having, when he was beating up January, and I don't remember, to be honest, I don't remember what he said, but I do get the sense that he was, like, talking to him. Just, it's the little things. Again, we've always told people it's the little things when you watch this story. Even now, when the story comes back full, when it starts to come back again and you see it happening, pay attention to the little things. But it was emotional. It's just emotion.
Was Roman telling Jay, I need a blood sacrifice. That's my blood sacrifice. Give me Daniel Bryan.
absolutely.
Gang gang.
Absolutely. It was Roman telling Jay, prove yourself.
Pretty
Prove you
much.
gonna listen to me. Take him out.
He got
Make
jumped.
him
He
understand.
got jumped into the gang. Now we got to do gang activity.
Right. So we move on. We now understand that Jay is forced to follow. I want to make that clear. Forced, due to him saying I quit, Jay is forced to fall in line. And remember, y'all, Roman now knows that Jay has a weakness. Before that, Jay had no weakness. And he knows that if he threatens Jimmy enough, and I'm sure Roman kept this in the back of his mind, if he threatens Jimmy enough, Jay will do whatever he tells him. So now we're at Survivor Series 2020, which, by the way, PSA to WWE, can we go back to brand versus brand, please? I really missed that. End of PSA. We're at Survivor Series 2020. And before this, Jay became part of the Survivor Series team, and Roman pretty much was telling Jay, this your team.
Hmm.
Make sure your team wins. This is where we start seeing Roman telling Jay, we don't lose. You dishonor the family by doing that. You dishonor me. So he puts it into Jay's head that he's the leader of this team, that he has to make sure the team wins. Well, guess what happens, y'all? They lost.
Tragically,
Yep. And who took the pin?
Jay.
Y'all, Jay took the pin,
Hmm.
and he was pinned by Keith Lee.
Hmm.
So here we are. We see a backstage promo, Jay and Roman. And then we see Jimmy and we see Paul. And Jimmy's like, hey, bro, look, he's trying to take up for his brother. And Roman's like, take your ass home. Because he knows any aggression towards Jimmy, Jay is going to automatically,
Hmm.
right? So he
Yep.
tells Jimmy to go home. This ain't got nothing to do with him, right? That segment right there where Jay is trying to explain, it made it clear to Jay. It made it even clear to Jimmy. And it made it clear to everyone in the WWE universe. Roman ain't taking no excuses. You either gonna do what Roman says, you are going to not embarrass this family, and if you do, there will be consequences. Roman showed he didn't care that they were his cousins. It wasn't about family. It wasn't about the blood at that time. It was about asserting his dominance and showing the rest of the locker room, if I'm going to treat my cousins this way, what would I do to you? Did you guys get that same sentiment?
Right, like, I think that's how it's always been with him, though. If I'm gonna treat my family, if I'm gonna treat the ones, and you gotta think about the relationship between Jimmy J and Roman, like, that's, he loves them, like, loves them. So if I'm gonna treat these people that I love with an unconditional love, basically, if I'm gonna treat them this way, yes, imagine what I would do to you if you were to cross, or if you have something that I want. So that's the
Monty?
Let me just say, Yeah, yeah, that was pretty messed up. But also, we weren't the only ones who noticed that. There was somebody in the locker room who noticed that as well.
Hmm. And we are about to get to that. Something else happened at that Survivor Series. Monty, Leslie, do we see Roman congratulate someone? Do you guys recall?
Congratulate, he told Drew McIntyre that he was his favorite number two.
He did. And that moment, favorite number two? Roman, you out here slapping people in the face like that, bro?
And remember, you will always be my favorite number two. That was diabolical.
But there was something else he said in that. Roman retained his championship at Survivor, or not retained his championship, but won his match at Survivor Series. And he says something about the titles. He says that the Universal title they have, it's theirs, right?
We'll take that one when we're ready.
What was he referring to?
He was referring to the WWE Championship. He told us what he was gonna do.
He did.
This man ain't a
He
liar.
did. He ain't no liar. So now we're back on SmackDown. Roman's back at home, quote unquote. It is now November 27th, 2020, and we see where Roman is still upset. It's like it's been days, bro. You still mad or not? Roman is still mad at Jay for losing at Survivor Series, and of course, he has to embarrass Jay. And he pretty much tells Jay, "You failed. You embarrassed the family. You dishonored me." And you can hear Michael Cole as Roman leaves the ring and Jay is standing there. You hear commentary. You hear that famous voice of Michael Cole say, "What turmoil Jay Uso must be going through." I'm sure that when he came out here, he was not expecting his cousin, the tribal chief Roman Reigns, to address him that way. Jay begins to leave the ring because there's a match coming up. It's Otis, and I don't even remember who Otis was facing because guess what? It don't even matter. Otis comes out. We see Jay walk past him. All of a sudden, you see Jay come back and beat the dog mess out of Otis with a chair. And he's talking to him, but he's not saying words or sentences. He's just kind of making grumblings and groans. We knew that in this moment, Jay was letting it be known, don't disrespect me because in that you disrespecting Roman and he's gonna come at me. What was your feeling during? What did you get from that moment of Jay beating the dog crap out of Otis?
So to me, that was like once again, it was a statement to the locker room. Otis isn't a he. That's a big boy, and he's just that. That was a statement. That to me, that's all that was. It was a statement to the locker room. Now you already had to deal with Roman on this through this. Now y'all got to stand up and you got deal with me again. The respect factor there, right? So it's I think it's a statement to the locker.
But
I agree with
it
you.
was still like, though, why? Like, I understand he needed to make a statement, but Otis didn't do nothing.
Well, in Jay's eyes, Otis did because Otis was on that team, right? If I'm
Yeah,
not
that's right.
mistaken.
That's right. Hold on. Let me double check that. But I think Otis was on the team. And if that's the case, then still, why though?
I'm trying to remember, but it didn't need to have a point. It was this. It was showcasing that Jay was unstable. It was showcasing the regret Jay has in saying I quit and having to fall in line. We know that Jay did not want to fall in line, but he did it because he had no other choice. How was he going to provide for his family? And not only his family, but because he brought Jimmy into it, Jimmy's family would suffer too. How could he do that? He had no other choice but to fall in line. And Otis and anybody else were gonna be targets of his rage. So now let's fast forward December 4th. And y'all know at this time, I didn't pay much attention to the data things. But December 4th, as we know, is the day that Umaga, aka Eki, passed away. And on this day, it just so happens Jay is getting coffee. He's at the table with KO. And excuse me, if I'm not mistaken, this is where we see the introduction of KO into this bloodline saga. And KO makes a statement, and Jay immediately is offended. But that whole segment To do it on the anniversary of Umaga's passing and have KO, an outsider of the family, kind of bring up the points that he made to Jay. It was almost like KO was trying to snap Jay out of it and remind him of who he is and where he came from, and that he doesn't deserve to be treated that way. Leslie and Monty, how did you guys take that segment?
Leslie, I'm gonna let you take that one.
Oh gosh, I don't know. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm just gonna say it like this. That segment kind of led into, as we know, the what I'm about to call the misadventures of Kevin Owens in Master Ooze Theater. Because Kevin gets jumped a lot. Let's just be honest. Kevin becomes a permanent target of Roman and Jay's.
Absolutely.
I mean, he tried to say something to encourage Jay. It got taken the wrong way by Roman and Paul, and Kevin Owens got beat up a lot.
He got beat up a lot. I'm gonna say this. It was interesting that KO would be the one to kind of come into this saga, right? We see that later on, Roman has a match with KO. He beats KO by putting him in the guillotine. We see Jay come. Roman tells Jay, grab some chairs. And we're like, okay, here comes the beatdown. Again, Jay's falling in line. But we kind of get surprised in this moment because after Roman beats KO with a chair, what does he do? He turns the chair on Jay. And I'm going to say this, if you go back and you watch that particular moment, started from when Jay brings the chair into the ring, and it gets to the part where Jay gets hit with the chair. And y'all, I cried. I had to walk away from the screen because of this. You can hear, if you go back and listen carefully, you can hear Jay say, "Oh my God, what did I do? Why? What did I do?" Monty, Leslie, did y'all catch that? Did you hear Jay saying that?
Roman had warned Jay before the night was over with. He warned Jay that he was going to get one too.
He did. But to hear Jay cry out after Roman hit him with that chair and say, "What did I do?" And to hear him cry out in that way broke my heart. Another intense emotional moment with this family. So we see that Roman is not going to let KO live this down. And what happens backstage? You know what? When KO came for Roman again, KO's backstage. They're trying to interview him. He's like, "Look, I don't want to be interviewed. Where's Roman Reigns? Where's Roman Reigns?" And Roman pops out of nowhere and cuts a whole damn promo on Kevin. And not just on Kevin, but he cuts it on Kevin's family. Monty, what did you think about that segment?
Okay, first of all, that was a gangbanger right there that came out there and did that.
Right.
All Roman needed was a do rag and maybe a Philly blunt behind his ear and a gold Cuban link chain. Like, look at your man's. Look at your man's. Tell your man's to mind to mind his business and to stay out my business, or I'm gonna make sure y'all don't eat tomorrow. Kick. Y'all have a nice night. That's what that was. That was terrifying to me. I was like, yo, Kevin Owens beat him in dominoes or something. Like, can we just like make this a good? This was terrifying. And just when he looked at him and he was very mob boss when he said it, just you have a nice night. I'm like, are you serious? You just threatened to take food out of these kids' mouths. Like that's evil. Leslie,
It was. Leslie, are you there?
Leslie, you there?
I thought like when it come to that, it was it's funny because like when you're talking family, when an opponent's talking about your family and everything, if it's the wife is one thing, right? That's personal enough. But when he looks in the camera and says, "Kid, tell your dad," I'm okay. Now that's crazy. That's crazy. That's a whole different level. Yeah, the wife, just but yeah, when you talking to the kids and you talking like that, that was a mess. That was bold because I know if someone I don't care who you are, mess with okay, whatever, whatever. Don't talk about my kid. So that was a bold thing on his part. And we later see, as you're going to talk about Kevin retaliate.
Hmm.
Kevin retaliates, of course, Leslie, but what happens? He gets beat up again.
He gets beat up very.
Beat
KO is one of those superstars that know he's like I forget the name of that watch, but it takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Okay, KO, there's nothing you can do to put him down. But we later see Roman and Jay put KO through a table, thinking, and then they throw all this debris on top of him, right? They walk
The debris, as
the
I call it.
debris. They walk backstage and they're standing in front of a TV. KO's buried under all this stuff, and he starts to dig himself out. And Jay taps Roman and is like, look at him. He ain't staying down.
Now, I will say this, that segment was one of the best segments I've ever seen. The three of them do.
Mhm.
Jay setting up the table. Roman looks at him and he says, "Thought I told you. Take a payday. It's not worth it, boy." And then you have Jay going, "What's wrong with you? It's not worth it." And then Roman just goes, "You could have brought an end to your night. You could have had an opportunity of a lifetime." And you hear Jay going, "Talk to him." And Roman goes, "And you chose to piss me off." And he put him through the table. And then they covered
That
him with all the debris. And that was kind of sad.
So here we are now, December 20th, 2020, TLC. We see Roman beat KO, whatever fashion, it doesn't matter. Fast forward 4 days later, SmackDown, uh 2024 or 2024 December 24th, 2020. Roman and KO, and I don't know what it is with Roman in the steel cage matches. Does it make you get tingly, Roman? Because I feel like you just know that when you in a steel cage, you got to show out and do the most. We see Roman and KO in a steel cage match. And this is where, and we've talked about this amongst ourselves and mentioned it on our lives. Gold Glove Roman, the menace to the society. Gold Glove Roman was different. He was special. He didn't take no crap. He gave no fucks. He was going to dominate, destroy, and degrade.
He was a demon.
Monty, share your thoughts about Gold Glove Roman because you're the one that coined that whole era of his Gold
Let me
Glove.
just say this right now. I don't know why everybody wants that demon to come back. That man was evil, okay? He yeeted dirty Dominic Mysterio. He picked him up and threw him like he wasn't nothing, okay? This is the same Golden Glove who put another man on top of another man and pinned him. It's the same Golden Glove who looked at the camera and said, "Hey, big movie executives, Hollywood, I apologize, but I'm gonna hurt this man." Demon. The same Golden Glove who looked at Rey Mysterio and said, "Unhappy Father's Day." Y'all, that is a demon. A demon. That
But
is
let's make no mistake about it, Leslie. That Gold Glove was a statement in itself. It meant everything he touched turned to gold. What are your thoughts about Gold Glove Roman, Leslie?
And I believe that's why we saw it, because I think he actually said something to that effect. It was Gold Glove Roman was like, "Imma do what I want when I want. I don't care what y'all say. Ain't nobody gonna stop me because not because you can or whatever, because you can't and you won't. You won't." So it was authority. It was crazy. And Monty's had the perfect demon. He was on definitely on demon time during that era. But he was it was I don't care. Stop me. I can't explain it. She doesn't explain.
let's just
But
say
yes,
this right
definitely on.
now. Doesn't mean to cut you off, boss woman, but let me say it like this. Gold Glove Roman was in his bag where the cookies and the crumbs and the chips are, okay?
Mm.
He was in the bottom of his bag. But let me just say that right now. I don't know why y'all keep begging for that demon to come back. He was a demon.
I need it. I need it because he also cut some of his greatest promos during that little the Gold Glove era.
He did. But Gold Glove Roman's hands were rated E for everybody. And some people
Yeah,
just
it
don't
was.
need to get it.
I miss it. That is
So now we have this Gold Glove Roman. Everything he touches turns to gold. He's leveling up his cousin. He's saying that anybody that gets in the ring, even when you lose, you level up. You get fed because you came to my table and I've graced you and gave you mercy and favor to sit at my table. You not leaving with nothing. You're not gonna say, "I came here, I'm leaving with something." The only thing you leaving with is that you got to be in the presence of the one that turns everything to gold, the one and only Roman Reigns. So in this steel cage match, we see times where KO is kind of getting one up on Roman. Roman's holding his own though. And then all of a sudden, we see the emergence of Jey Uso. And what does Jey do? This boy handcuffs KO to the ring so that Roman can walk out. And I'm sorry, KO will forever have me cracking up with anything he says or does. But for him to sit there and say, "You can't do this, you can't do this, you little bitch." I was like, that is Roman you talking to, KO. What is you doing, KO? Did y'all hear him address Roman that way, or am I crazy?
No, he addressed Roman that way. Kevin Owens is a habitual line stepper, and he stepped
Yeah.
over the line once again. Bad Kevin.
And we're here for it. We here for that line stepping.
I'm for any kind of match or rivalry between a Kevin Owens and a Roman Reigns. I love it. I love where they take it. It's insane. And I loved this.
It was so good. It was so good, y'all. So now comes one of my favorite matches of Roman and Kevin's, y'all. The last man standing match.
Oh my.
Do y'all want to take a guess as to why this is one of my favorites? Because it's something that Roman does.
Would it be the vehicular homicide?
Where the hell did he get that golf cart?
Golf.
Jay probably gave it to him.
Lord, that last man standing match was something else. It was something else. They beat the hell out of each other all over that place. But to see Roman come on the screen, just driving that golf cart like it's a normal day on the golf course and hitting KO. I was what am I in?
Now, mind you, we had to be reminded not too long ago that that wasn't the first time that Roman committed vehicular homicide.
Speak on it, money.
That wasn't the first time, was it, Leslie? Ambulance
Mm,
truck. Ambulance truck. Braun Strowman. That man been running people over with. You know, I have a conclusion, and y'all better not judge me on this conspiracy. What if it wasn't Rikishi who did it for The Rock and did it for the people?
You better stop right now.
What if it was Roman?
Roman wasn't even in WWE. Wait, was he?
Rikishi was. Rikishi could have gave Roman the keys and said, "Go."
I can't. But you right. But you right. Y'all, Roman running people over. Roman, we need you to do that again, please. Just one more time. Before the end of your career, which will break us and make us cry, can you please run somebody over? We greatly appreciate it.
Can I make some suggestions? I have a couple of names. One of them, of course, is the final boss. The hot chief. You know, when y'all do have y'all's final match, could you just, get in that gaudy ass truck of Cody Rhodes and just, run it
Yep,
over?
run it over. We'll be okay with that, wouldn't we, ladies? We'd be just fine.
Just get rid of that gaudy ass truck, because that damn thing is gaudy.
So there's something else that happened in this last man standing match. There was a little bit of a fumble. A little bit of a I don't want to call it a botch, but it was a little bit of a botch. Roman got some handcuffs, y'all. First off, let me just say this as a woman, WWE, I appreciate you putting handcuffs on Roman Reigns while he all sweaty and stuff because yeah, for us women, we thank you. Okay, and for probably for some men's out there too. But Roman got stuck, and the ref had to. That poor ref. The ref had to play along. Sometimes these refs get in these predicaments, and it's not because of them, but it's because of a late kick out or a failed piece of equipment, and you can just see the confusion on their face. Roman got stuck, and Michael Cole mentioned it on the following SmackDown. KO technically won because Roman couldn't get back up to the count. And that moment will always be funny to me. Because you see Roman and Paul trying to figure it out. The ref is looking dumbfounded. KO's kind of just standing there. And then finally Roman just reaches up and throws the damn ref into the structure. We get Roman out of the handcuffs and Roman wins.
It was a
Well,
botch.
it was a botch.
It was
It was a
bad.
bad
It
botch.
was bad.
It was bad. So now, fast forward, it's Rumble time, y'all. And someone comes back at the Rumble and wins the whole damn thing. We welcome the return of the rated R superstar. When y'all saw that Edge have won the Rumble, was there any doubt in your mind who he was going to choose? I'm going to start with Leslie.
Here's the deal. I think everyone at that time after that title or after Roman for some reason, were they successful? No. I think, if you're coming back and then you win, you're going to want to make a statement. What better way to make a statement than to challenge a Roman Reigns at that?
This is true. Monty, what was your thoughts when you saw Edge won the Rumble?
Feeling that Edge was going to be facing Roman. I just had to figure out how was he going to do that. Like when was he going to do this? How was he going to go about it from here? Yeah, it was going to be Edge and Roman, of course. But as it turns out, it wasn't. But it was going to be Edge and Roman.
So now we're back on SmackDown. A lot is going on. Does the meme? This is where Roman start giving us memes that would last an eternity. Why would he play with me, Paul? Why would you play with me? Why would that man play with me? That is a meme that will forever live as one of the legendary memes. Okay? He wants to know why Edge hasn't picked him. Cause how could WrestleMania happen without the tribal chief, right? How could it possibly go down without the tribal chief? Roman just expected Edge to choose him without any hesitation. There's no other champ that mattered because remember, whoever had the WWE title was what, y'all?
Number
He
two.
was he was number 2. Well, somebody else also wanted to go to WrestleMania and felt like he deserved to be a part of this main event. And this is where we see the return of Daniel Bryan. Remember, the last time we saw Daniel Bryan, he got the brakes beat off of him by Jay. Jay put a hurting on that boy. At the end of that beatdown, Daniel Bryan's little left leg was shaking and wavering. His body was jerking. Well, Daniel is back and he's got a bit of a vendetta and he wants to go after Jay. But as we have seen down the line, if Jay ran afoul of you, not only did you want to get your get back on Jay, but you was gonna get your get back on Roman as well. So Daniel Bryan is back. We're now in February and Daniel has a match with Roman. Roman wins, but Daniel Bryan begins to complain about how he should be at WrestleMania and his chances and times to be at WrestleMania are few. And he feels like he should be added. He feels like he's being overlooked. He feels all these things. Guys, did you feel that Daniel Bryan? Because this part of the story for me, I was like, why is Daniel here? I get it. He wants to get back on Jay. He may even blame Roman. But why are you here? You know, Daniel has always had that claim that he made Roman Reigns tap out. But guess what? You made him do it when it didn't matter. So this for me, Daniel Bryan being a part of this was just like, why are you here?
Pick me,
What were y'all's thoughts?
pick me, pick me, pick me, pick me.
I pick you, Money.
Okay, so everybody, this is the one thing about this WrestleMania that I sit there and I'm like, guys, you really have to sit and think about why they would do this. Both Daniel Bryan, Edge, and Roman were retired. The rest of them from, possibly winding up in a wheelchair. That is the reason why the triple threat happened. People don't think about it like that, but every single time the reason why a triple threat happens it is because there's somebody that can be included in the match that will make sure that the match is much safer. We could look at what happened with Charlotte and Becky and Ronda. Y'all may have wanted to
Mm,
see Ronda and Becky square up, but it would have been a botch fest and somebody would have got injured. That's why
right.
Charlotte was inserted in there. Even though we all know Roman would take care of everybody, the thing is you need a workhorse in that type of match. And that's why Daniel Bryan was inserted. Alas, I will let you all continue.
Leslie, did you have any thoughts about Daniel Bryan being a part of this storyline at this point?
I see the technical stuff like she said, but if you want to go with the storyline part of it, I think it's just he was wanting to get his get backs and he saw this as his in a possible way. I don't know, but yeah, to like get backs on those.
Can I just say nobody was a good guy in that whole damn match? Nobody
Mm,
was. Because nobody was rooting for Edge. Nobody was rooting for Roman. Nobody was. Well, I was rooting for Roman, but nobody was rooting for DB. Like, it was a kind of like a whoever wins, okay? Nobody was happy.
I kind of feel like, knowing what we know now, that DB was inserted, one, because he was gonna leave WWE, and I feel like that was like his last little hoorah or whatever. Because let's not take anything away from Daniel Bryan. The man's one of the most technically sound wrestlers, and he's okay on the mic, but he's one of the most technically sound wrestlers and the most underrated, especially in WWE, what they call him, the B plus player. And Edge is an amazing talent as well. So I get it. It was star power there. But for me, Daniel being a part of this just kind of threw it for me. So here we are. We're getting close to Mania. Roman, Edge, and Daniel are kind of going back and forth in this cycle of, fast lane. They were supposed to have this match. It didn't go down that way. Edge is upset. Roman's upset. Daniel's happy. Adam Pearce makes the judgment call that WrestleMania is going to be a triple threat. Edge is pissed. Roman is pissed. Daniel's happy. In the meantime, as we build towards Mania, we know that the Andre the Giant Battle Royal is coming up. There's a lot of names in this. Sheamus was there, Baron Corbin was there, Shinsuke Nakamura, and then also Jay Uso. And to everyone's shock, it seems like Jay wins the Andre the Giant Battle Royal. I will never get the image of Jay standing next to that statue, the trophy, with his arms folded, just elated in what he just did, and then all of a sudden women's music hits. Media is like, oh, damn, okay. All right. He puts on his jacket. He gets in the ring. He stands in place. He falls back in line next to Roman. And Roman begins to cut a promo. And he's talking about how everything he touches turns to gold. He said, even look at my cousin. He said, look at the year my cousin has had, how he's leveled up. He said, that trophy over there is proof of it. And Jay just standing there shaking his head. Then Roman goes on to address Edge and Daniel, and he pretty much tells them, look, I'm going to smash you, I'm going to stack you, and I'm going to pin you in the middle of the ring. One, two, three. Right? Now, here we are, WrestleMania 37, April 11th, 2021. It's the main event, the triple threat, Roman versus Daniel Bryan versus Edge. Y'all, that match was a lot. How did y'all feel about that match? What were your thoughts?
I'm gonna
Monty?
smash you, I'm gonna stack you, and I'm gonna pin you. One, two, three. Initially, I walked into that match thinking, I was like, okay, this is the end of the road. All right, it's a triple threat. There's no way Edge is gonna win this. There's no way Daniel Bryan's gonna win this. Roman, I don't know. I thought that maybe Jimmy would come out and cost Roman. I didn't know for sure. And Roman had said, I'm going to smash you, I'm going to stack you, and I'm going to pin you. This man smashed us, smashed them, stacked them, and pinned them. And all I could say is, you know what? Roman may be a lot of things. He may be a manipulator. He may be a gaslighter. I know he may sit there and not admit this, but he an asshole. But the one thing that we can all say that he's not is a liar because he
That is
did
true.
what he said he was going to do.
He sure did. He sure did. So we have Roman. He smashed him, he stacked him, he pinned him, he retained. Now we're back on SmackDown. Roman's living his best life. He's talking about how he did what he said he was going to do. Jay is falling in line. We are now at SmackDown April 3rd, 2021. And this is where the head of the table becomes clear. Roman debuts his head of the table music. Pat McAfee is on SmackDown, and I believe this is the episode of SmackDown where it was Throwback SmackDown, if I'm not mistaken. Pat McAfee joins the commentary table with Michael Cole, and here we are. Roman, Jay, and Paul are there, and the most unserious moment of that year. Paul Heyman giving tribute to Daniel Bryan being put out of his misery. Paul Heyman is standing there, and ding! And Roman, you can see Roman's barely holding it together. He's almost about to break character. And Roman begins to deliver a promo, and he says, look, Daniel DB didn't want to be here. I do everybody favors. I do Fox favors. I do SmackDown favors. I do WWE's favor. And I did DB a favor and I got him up out of here. He didn't want to acknowledge me, but he said, but I found somebody who will acknowledge me. Jay is standing there. Roman looks towards the ramp. We hear the Usos music hit. Jay has this humongous smile on his face, and we see the return of Jimmy Uso. Monty, what did you feel in that moment?
That was the moment Jemison was born. That was the moment Jemison was born. But no, I was excited. I mean, I thought that Jimmy would come at WrestleMania and cost Roman, and he didn't. He showed up right when he needed to, and he wasn't nobody's bitch. But
He was not. He was not. So we now have the Usos back together. They embrace. Even Pat on commentary, he said it. Oh, I'm super pumped. I want to go get a hug too. It was a feel good moment because I think everyone thought in that moment that Jimmy's back. Jimmy's gonna be the voice of reason to Jay and bring Jay back to who he is. At least that's how I thought when I saw Jimmy. Right? So now we fast forward. It is now May 11th, 2021. Jimmy's back, and we see that Jimmy ain't falling in line. During the Cesaro Seth match, Roman must have gave Jay a word to stay out there and cost Cesaro the match because the stipulation was, as Teddy Long said, the stipulation was if Cesaro could beat Seth, he would be next in line for a match against Roman. Well, Roman don't want that. He don't want to deal with Cesaro. Who is Cesaro to him? And so Jay and Jimmy are out there ringside. The match is happening. Jay looks like he's about to get involved, and Seth says, "Look, I ain't Roman. I don't need your help. Stay out of my business." Well, Jay goes to approach Seth again, and Seth says, "What did I say? Stay out of my business." And he pushes Jay down. Jimmy ain't having that. Jimmy said, "What's your problem?" And he super kicked Seth, inadvertently costing Seth the match and putting Cesaro as the number one contender to face Roman. We see Seth go backstage. He addresses Roman. He's like, "Look, your cousin cost me that match. You better fix it or I will." And Roman pretty much tells him, "I'll deal with my cousin, but first off, don't come in here talking to me like this, right?" Jay or Roman, we see Roman, Jimmy, and Jay. Roman is like, "You ain't even been here an hour. Me and Jay had a good thing going, and here you come in and you ruin it." And he's like, "You gotta listen to me. You got that?" And Jimmy's like, "Hey, you ain't about to talk to me crazy like you do my brother. You ain't about to treat me like no little bitch." And then Jimmy walks off and leaves Jay and Roman standing there. How do we feel, y'all? What is happening with this family? Is Jimmy here to disrupt and to bring Jay back to who he was? Is Jimmy here to maybe retaliate on Roman because of what Roman put him and Jay through? How were you all thinking during this time? Monty?
I think
go ahead, Les.
it's I think maybe it's a little bit of both at that point. Like he's wanting to take up for himself and for okay, shit. I didn't lost my
Okay. Okay, so basically this is my feelings of it. I think that Jimmy was trying to do too much at the same time. I think that Jimmy has always wanted everyone to get along and just for them to run the company, the three of them together. Nobody's in charge of each other. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Jimmy might have overstepped his boundaries and might have did something. But also, let me just say this right now, because there was a moment that you discussed and touched on when it came to Seth Rollins and Roller Reigns for life. Let me just say this right now, y'all. Why was Roman telling him like I'm talking to you later? Like, why would he
Are
do
you talking about Seth?
Seth? Yes, he's like, don't you come in here talking to me like that? How dare you? I will talk to you
Well,
later.
that is little brother.
I know. It was one of those get out of my room or I'm going to tell mom on you, so to speak.
It was, wasn't it?
It
Now let me tell you
was.
something.
Was. It was get out of my room. I'm going to tell mom.
Now you just hit on. Now I got to go back and watch that segment because you're right. That's exactly what it was.
It was why are you wearing my jeans? Those are my jeans.
Dang it. I did not catch that. That's a
It
good
was
catch
how
right
dare
there.
is it was is that my scrunchie?
Not is that my scrunchie.
Is that my scrunchie, you bitch? Give me back my scrunchie. That's what it is.
Yeah. Yeah. This is where the bloodline storyline was starting to really heat up, y'all. It was starting to really heat up. Now Jimmy's back and he wants him and Jay to just be him and Jay. Remember, there was a segment between Jay and Jimmy where Jay goes to find Jimmy. He was like, "Is that really what you think of me, bro? You think I'm Roman's bitch?" And Jimmy just flats out tell him, "Yeah, that's what I think of you. I do think you Roman's bitch." He says to him, "What happened to you, man? It used to be me and you. What happened to you?" And he tells him, "Look, you want to talk about what's best for the family. Why is it not best for the family that Roman holds the universal title and we are tag team champions? Why is that not best for the family?" And Jay, at this point, by this time, Jay is so sold out. He's like, "Look, what Roman does is best for the family. Roman having the title is best for the family." And Jimmy's like, "Dude, are you serious? He's using you, and I need you, and we need each other." So Jimmy goes to, at that time, Sonya Deville and tells her, "Look, I need a match with the Street Profits with me and Jay. We want to go back after the tag titles. The Usos are back." And even Sonya was like, "Did you talk to Jay? Does Roman know about this?" And Jimmy says, "I wouldn't be here if my brother didn't have my back." He completely excuses the fact that she didn't brought up Roman. So now they have this match. They beat the Street Profits. We see the Usos are back. They move on to the tag champs, and at that time, it was Rey Mysterio and Dominic, the first father and son tag team champs. The Usos lose that match, but it was because of the ref. And they try to explain this to Roman, but Roman's like, "No losing. I don't care. Fix it." They get a rematch. Adam grants it because of the ref's mix up. And I don't know if Roman felt like they were losing that match. I don't know. But he comes out and he interferes. And Monty, you mentioned this earlier. He throws Dominic like a sack of potatoes up out of the ring.
Straight up through
What
him.
was your thoughts about this moment?
Straight up through Dominic like this is Sparta, bitch. He straight up picked up Dominic and was like, to Ragnarok you go. Like, just I've never have you ever seen a grown man pick up another grown man and just go, look, you like that look, hey, you like flying? Just it just terrible. It was terrible. But as for this whole segment and everything, honestly, this was what the story needed. We needed a little bit of like, why are y'all like y'all need to figure this out and get it together. And you know what? It reminds me of what's currently going on right now. They just need to figure it out and get it together. But it honestly, this was perfect for right now, and I couldn't wait to see what happens next. But that's just my opinion.
And so here we are. He's interfered. Now we're back on SmackDown, and this is in June of 2021. Jimmy starts it off with a promo. And Jimmy pretty much says, "Look, I know what it is. I know why you don't want us to be tag champs. I know why you interfered in our match. It's because you jealous of me. You jealous I'm back, and you jealous I want my brother with me." That is the whole thing. Jimmy sees, he paid attention to how Roman treated Jay this whole time. And Jimmy is essentially telling Roman, "You mad, you mad because of who I am and who I was with Jay. We were tag team champs, one of the best damn tag teams here. And now that I'm back and I want my brother with me, you want to challenge me on that?" That's pretty much what Jimmy was saying here. Jay gets upset because there's a backstage segment. Roman walks in, tell Paul to leave, and Roman's like, "Do you see this?" And he holds up the title, and Jimmy says, "Look, bro, I don't give a damn about that title. I don't give a damn about you trying to say you the tribal chief." He said, "What I do give a damn about is my brother, and I do care about you." He said, "You gonna be a Hall of Famer, first ballot, no doubt." But he said, "You ain't gonna go in as Roman Reigns. You gonna go in as a little bitch, a little childish bitch." He was like, "You abused my brother for a whole year. I sat back and had to watch you abuse Jay." And he was like, "At this point, you know what? Let's throw hands. Let's throw hands because I'm sick of it." They go back and forth. Roman looks at Jay and says, see how he treats you? We see that manipulation come in. Jay tells him, look, I'm sick of both of y'all right now. And Jay dips, leaving Roman and Jay there. And Roman and Jimmy there. And Jimmy says to Roman, you know what, that's it. Let's throw hands. And Roman flips it, as we've seen him do. He flips it on Jimmy and says, this is how you treat your brother. This is what you do. So, Monty, what were your thoughts about Jay walking out and telling Roman and Jimmy, I'm sick of both of y'all? Jimmy just got back. How could he be sick of his brother already?
I thought that this was the moment where Jay, you could tell Jay had all the gumption that he needed to have. In all honesty, this was the moment that you could see that Jay was standing on his own 2 feet, outside of Roman, outside of Jimmy, and that's really what Roman wanted. And so when he left, he pretty much was like, I'm done with y'all arguing. Peace out. I'm gonna let y'all figure it out. Pretty much what Jay did is what Roman is doing. You know, I'm not gonna talk to y'all until after Christmas. That is what's going on.
True. Leslie, did you have any thoughts here? Oh, that's right. My bad. She's on break. Okay. So we're gonna move forward. We see on the SmackDown after that is a couple SmackDowns. Finally, Jay returns. The family is now on the same page because Roman has given his blessing for them to go after the tag titles. But he makes it clear to say, no matter what, remember, I'm the center of this all. We see that now they're back in the arena. The pandemic has quieted down enough. They're back in the arena. The first match is the Bloodline, Roman, Jimmy, and Jay against Ray, Dom, and Edge. It's leading up to Money in the Bank. Jay and Jimmy are going to face Ray and Dom for the title. Edge is going to face Roman for his title. The Bloodline defeats Ray, Dom, and Edge. It was a great match. We get to Money in the Bank 2021, where we see the Usos become 7-time champs and they defeat the Mysterios for the tag titles. There's a backstage segment where Jay and Jimmy go to present Roman with those titles. And Roman says, no, I'll hold on to them for now, but this is how it should be. Does it feel good? It should feel good. And Roman gives his approval of his cousin. We get to Roman's match. The match with Roman and Edge was so good. But of course, we see Seth cost Edge the match because Seth is pissed that he was not offered an opportunity against Roman. And if he can't get it, nobody can get it. Roman retains, and we see the return of none other than the Unseen 17. Or back then, he wasn't the Unseen 17, but of Mr. You Can't See Me, John Cena. And this leads to SummerSlam. And this is where we're going to wrap it up, guys. Cena returns. There's back and forth between him and Roman, and Cena just pretty much tells Roman, look, they called me in to deal with you. Don't you get it? Don't you see what's going on? And he says, look, I know you're going to beat me up. I know that you're going to take me through the ringer. He says, but all I need is to pin your shoulders to the mat. 1, 2, 3. That's all he needs. We are going to wrap it here, guys. When we come back, we will be talking about SummerSlam 2021, and we will carry through until the current Tribal Chief era ended. Guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We thank you for sitting with us. Hit us up on YouTube. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe on our YouTube channel. Acknowledge the Dynasty. You just search that in the YouTube search bar. We have a lot of great things coming for you guys this year. Monty, Tribal Chief, just anything you would like to say?
Just, you know what? This one was actually much better than the last one. I gotta admit that, everybody. But yeah, I have a book I've written. It is called Homecoming, an American Royalty Series, that is available to you on Amazon.com, of course, as well as I have a book coming out later on this year in July called Two Princes. It is a follow up to Homecoming. But I think that's about it. Leslie?
And as usual, don't forget you can find us on the Twitter at AT Podcast 23, on the IG, acknowledge underscore the underscore dynasty, and all across social media, including Facebook, TikTok, acknowledge dot dynasty. And guys, I'm trying to work on building it even over on the lemonade. So just come on and just follow. That's how you're going to get to know what we're going to do with upcoming projects. So that's all.
All right, guys. Thank you. Monty,
And
you
with
want to tell them to watch out, what to watch out for?
and that is gonna conclude Roman Reloaded episode 3. We will be back with episode 4 and 5, hopefully just 4, and we can just tie it up in a little bow and complete the series. But with that being said, please be sure to drink your water. For the love of God, watch your back for chair shots. Acknowledge the tribal chief. Acknowledge the dynasty. And remember, this is not a rocktocracy. What is it, everybody?
A rock tater.
It is a rocktatorship. Now, if you'll excuse us, we gonna go do our do life stuff. We'll see you guys on the YouTubes Monday. Wubba wubba, God bless. Deuces, deuces.
Bye bye.